Welcome to episode 125 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business, and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives. But anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. And hopefully, you'll find one or two takeaways to implement per episode. In our previous episode, 124, our guest was Aaron D. Benedetto, discussing AI sales automation. Today's episode discusses crisis into clarity with Ken Miller. Based out of Bellingham, Washington, Ken Miller is the president of Denali Fundraising and Grant Consultants, a company that provides design and implementation of fundraising campaigns. Let's welcome Ken Miller. Ken, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brian. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Ken. Ken, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background becoming the president of Denali Fundraising and Grant Consultants, a company that provides design and implementation of fundraising campaigns?
Well, the quick version is this. I'm 62 years old, African-American male, and I went through 6 years of foster homes, was adopted when I was 7 years old, grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, which is a little different. I was what they call precocious as a child, and I loved learning. So I became a National Merit Scholar. I was accepted to Harvard, and I got my degree from Dartmouth College. So I'm an Ivy League graduate. Came out, went into the corporate world, but unfortunately I had a substance misuse problem, and I was to spend the next 20 years in and out of institutions. I'm a 3-time convicted felon, spent years behind bars, but predominantly I was homeless on the streets as an alcoholic and drug addict. In 2004, I went down for hopefully my last felony, did 3 years, got out with no skills, and worked in a warehouse. And then I was fortunate enough to move back to Alaska, and I got a position in, let's say, called white collar, became a fundraiser for a soup kitchen. Did very, very well. And in 2014, April Fool's Day, 2014, I put out my shingle as a consultant, coach, and grant writer for nonprofits and other organizations in the fundraising world. So that's how I started the company. And there's a whole story about starting a company, but that's a little of my background. I'll give you maybe a little understanding of maybe some of the things I will be saying.
That's quite a background. I started my business in 85, and there's a lot to starting a business and running a successful business. Well, this episode's topic is crisis into clarity. How do you help companies, individuals realize clarity?
By getting back to the fundamental. And I always use the term the why. So predominantly, at least I have 5 companies. Okay, take care of that first. I have 5 companies. But let's talk about Denali FSP, fundraising and grant consultants. That's a consultancy. I've had it for 11 years. I work with predominantly nonprofits, even though I've had a few quasi nonprofits. And one of the first things I want to do is go back to the why. What is the why of the organization? What is the raison d'etre? What is the reason to be for this company? What is your mission statement? Because we have a thing we call in our industry, and that's a nonprofit world, but it happens in the for-profit world too, where we have mission creep, where we go away from our core values, we go away from our core value added to the client, customer, recipient. And for different reasons at different times in our past, we've gotten away from what do we do well, why do we do it well, and what do we have to offer to the individual that is utilizing our services. That's number one. What's our why? What is our core? And then let's go from there.
Following up on that, How do you help people identify and harness life's challenges for personal growth?
Well, now we're talking about personal growth, organizational growth and personal growth, but then in a lot of ways they're very similar. Really, they are very similar. There's, we can call them God's laws, but they're just certain laws of nature that work for both the organization and the individual. I work a lot with individuals. I would coach a lot. I mentor a lot. I've been doing this for 15 years in the mentoring, and I've been doing the coaching for about 11 years. So let's go to that part. Again, and this is more difficult for the individual than the organization for this reason. The organization has, their articles of incorporation. And in the articles of incorporation, it's going to state what do we do? And for a nonprofit, you also have to have your mission statement. You literally have to have that in writing. What is our reason why we are being a community service? Okay, that's an organization, whether for profit or nonprofit. For an individual, a lot of times they have not articulated their why. They don't understand their why. So they flounder because they're at the vicissitudes of life or the winds of the world. So anything that blows whatever direction or another avenue of revenue enhancement or revenue growth, I'll go with that one. But they're not solid in their personal why, and they're not solid in their why if we're even going back into the work environment, whether you're an employee or you're a business owner. So one of the things I do is I spend a lot of times, and I'll even say this to the individuals I either coach or mentor. What's your dream? And then this is a key part of being a good coach or a good mentor. I shut up. And allow them to think. Because a lot of times they have it. And then I'll also say to certain people, I give you permission to dream. That literally, verbally, I will say that. So now, and it may take some time. I've seen people take 10 minutes because someone has taken away that power of their dream, whether it's for their organization or just as a human being, the power of their dream of what they're aspiring to, okay, in their walk through life.
We're speaking with Ken Miller, president of Denali Fundraising and Grant Consultants, a company that provides design and implementation of fundraising campaigns. From Ivy League graduate to homeless addict to three-time ex-felon and ultimately a respected keynote speaker and mentor, Ken Miller has lived every side of the human experience. Ken's message goes beyond survival. It's about reclaiming identity and integrity in adversity. Ken Miller brings real, raw, and transformative conversations that inspire action. His journey from rock bottom to success has given him deep insights into resilience, leadership, mindset shifts, and personal growth. He doesn't just share stories. He gives listeners practical tools to overcome adversity and thrive. Ken believes that resilience isn't built in a single moment. It's shaped by the small, everyday choices we make. Now, let's get back to the questions. Ken, how do small choices lead to big change?
Great question. Many times we need to do small choices, and I like to almost use the word decisions. Choices is what we have, decisions is what we do. So we have a group of small decisions that we make. And one of the things that I love to teach about is habits and grinding, literally, those two terms. But what we do is we have a bunch of small successes. And that's another thing that I work with individuals on. We need some success. So when I mentor or even coach, the first question I ask in every meeting, tell me about a win. Tell me about a win, personal and or business, depending on how I'm working with them. But tell me about a win, because we always have wins. And sometimes it's hard for people to define wins because they're so used to talking about the problem, the pain, the discomfort. So I always start with that. But what I want you to do is get a sense of your value and that you can be a winner. And I'm going to define you to the best of my ability as a winner. So let's get some wins. Let's get some small ones. And it can be as simple as making 3 calls to this individual or getting up and doing this. And let's start creating habits. And then if we need to move it up to another level of the grind, how do we grind? What is a grind? And let's grind for the desired result on the end.
Well, Ken, what results or lessons learned have you seen with businesses and individuals that have implemented your recommendations?
A lot. And that sounds, pretty trite. But I've had grown men sit across from me with tears in their eyes because a dream came to fruition. That's one of the most beautiful experiences that I have. I'm a grown man. And to see a 40 or 50-year-old man sit down and say, I did it, or this happened, or this improvement in my relationships with my children, or my wife, or my co-workers, or my workers, my staff, because we've done these. And I say we, a lot of times they'll say, yeah, because I've done this. And I say, yeah, it's all about you. All I do is suggest. I'm a consultant. I suggest. I'm not going to do it for you. I will teach you the fish, but I'm not going to fish for you. That's not what I do. And so that I've seen, I could give you examples, but the important thing is there are best practices. A lot of what I do, and this is interesting, Brian, is not so much of the answer as a coach, is that I'm going to support you emotionally along the journey, because many times there will be setbacks. Many times there will be bumps in the roads, and we're working for a 6-month, a year-long period. But I'm going to be here and I'm going to listen to you with no value judgment and say, okay, this is what happened. What do you think we can do to make this have a different result next month? Or when we look at the financials in 2 months, okay, what can we do differently? And why don't let me give you a couple suggestions. Let's do this on the expenses. Let's do this on maybe in the marketing area, or maybe you might want to look at this. But anyway, the key thing is I love success. And what I mean by I love success, I love people having success because it really enhances your self-esteem.
We're speaking with Ken Miller, president of Denali Fundraising and Grant Consultants. Ken, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
Let me add this. So I speak often from the stage. I'm a speaker. I'm also an author. And I run multiple businesses. One of the things that I speak about, my keynote is on resilience, and resilience in the face of the known and the unknown. And the one thing I would like to say to the listeners is be cognizant that there are going to be setbacks in life that are coming. Are coming. Could be the health of a loved one. It could be a financial that you're going to lose that client, or you're going to lose that employee because that employee is moving on. Great. Well, we know about those. And there's a set of best practices to deal with known future setbacks. But then there's the setback that you have no clue is coming. You just didn't know it was coming. It can be in health. It can be communication from a loved one. It can be something within your company that you had no clue was coming. And how do we deal with that unknown setback? And I'm a big, big believer in acceptance. I'm a big believer in truth. And I'm a big believer that it's not about you so much as the circumstances or the environment that's created this unknown setback that's coming up. So I speak a lot on resilience, and as a business owner, especially being cognizant that it will happen. I've not met the business that there hasn't been some setback. I have not. But what do we do with that setback? What is our comeback from the setback? And how well you do that can make or break a business. Okay, because you literally are the head if you are the CEO or president or executive director. Great question.
Ken, how can people get in contact with you?
Ken Miller 84 is my LinkedIn handle. I use that one quite often. You can also go to my website and contact me through my website, which is Denali FSP, or KenMillerSpeaks.com is another one of my company. And I'm always open to any contact. If you just have a comment, question, concern that you've heard today, it doesn't cost you anything. Just give me a call, or contact me usually by email or through LinkedIn, or my two favorite ones to communicate with individuals.
Ken, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you, Brian.
My sincere thanks to Ken Miller for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. This podcast is on YouTube and over 20 podcast directories. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Ken, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. All the podcasts are available by clicking on the website podcast page in the reference bar. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. In the next episode, 126, our guest will be Will Springler discussing hire elite talent. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.